Let's talk supply chain. So, welcome to the show, Carmit.
Thank you, Sarah. Great being here. Thank you for the invite.
I am so excited to have you here. I mean, you're such an interesting person. You've traveled the world, you've worked in big organizations, small ones, you've worked across sales, operations, implementations. I mean, it really feels like you've done it all in supply chain. So, I'm really looking forward to hearing about your experiences, what you've learned along the way, and also inspiring any of our listeners that maybe feel a little stuck in their little corner of the industry. So let's dive right in because I know that you and I have a lot to talk about today. So I love to talk about how women find their way to supply chain because and you and I just literally spoke about my journey off camera before we got started because it's not
Yeah,
necessarily right an obvious career choice. I think you said it's not like women or girls aspire to be in supply chain. And you have a degree in economics. So how did you go from a degree in economics into supply chain?
actually, it was the other way around because I started working in shipping before I started studying. So
Okay.
the story is that after my service in the army, I just were looking for a job for a
Okay.
few months, so I will have some money to travel the world. That was the big plan. It was nothing, and for some reason I started working in a small Maersk agency. Um, and this is where it started. And from working 3 months as a temp, it's lasted for 17 years, being part
Wow.
of the group in various location and roles. But this is how I stumble upon, let's say, shipping and logistics, and actually fall in love with the industry and the people, and the way we are moving the world around, but without nobody knows.
I know. But isn't that the way, right? People stumble into this industry and then they fall completely in love with it. And we have some very, very passionate people in this industry because of
Right.
that. And just think about it, right? You got a temp job just because you wanted money to be able to travel the world and see different cultures, and you get exposed to this industry where the opportunities are kind of endless. You can
Correct.
actually travel while working in the industry because it's a global mindset, right? It's a global
Correct.
industry. And so I'm sure that you were probably able to do a little bit of both even at when you were starting with that temp job.
Indeed. So my big plan was to travel the world, and I did. But while learning and being part of the industry, and when I study economics, was to kind of, when I chose to go for economics, to is to understand better
Mhm.
how the world is moving, and the supply and demand and all the aspects of what's behind logistics actually.
Mm.
And so the actual reasoning for the degree was first starting and understand that I really like this world. I like the international. I like the fact that
Yeah.
every day I'm speaking with somebody else from the world. I
Mhm.
start my morning, I will speak with Indonesia, China, Vietnam, ending my night with US, South Africa, North America. It was really exciting to me as one that really like um, the world and people and learning cultures, as you said really, really correctly. And that's gave me the opportunity to do so while working, actually.
Amazing, amazing. Well, now you're currently the CEO of Ship Forward. Talk to us a little bit about the brand, what you do, and your role at the company.
So Shift Forward was established to provide solution for small and mid-sized businesses. And during my experience working in very large corporate and around the world, it's always appears to me that we as an industry are lacking for solution for the small to mid-sized businesses,
Mm,
because the somehow the ROI never really worked well for that segment when you're working on those large corporate. And there are various reasoning for that, but it's always attract me to find solution to see
Mm,
challenges and how we can solve it. So Shift Forward came to bridge that gap, first and foremost to decide that this is the segment we are
yeah.
looking at and finding solution for. So we don't do everything, we don't provide solution for everyone. We're really focusing to find solution to small businesses, and the reason is because we believe that they are not getting the right opportunities within global trade and within other logistics providers.
Well, and especially in a landscape that has just become so competitive, right? Like there's
Yeah,
competition everywhere. There's big
yeah,
giants that you're trying to compete against and so much more. But I really love that you're focusing on SMEs because I talk a lot about leveling the playing field, right? What I just talked
yeah,
about. And there are so many solutions out there for enterprise organizations, but there's
correct.
considerably less for smaller ones. What do you think are some of the unique needs of SMEs? And what does the landscape look like for these businesses for 2024? I mean, you've said that small and medium-sized businesses continue to gain optimism when I was doing some of my research. So talk to us about, some of the challenges that they may face in 2024 and why do you think there's so much optimism around that? I mean, I have my own views on that in the fact that I think small business kind of makes the world go round, but I'd like to hear from you.
I agree with you. I totally agree with you. And the numbers say so, right? If we look at the statistics, we are seeing that 50% of the employment worldwide by small businesses. It's in many economies, it's up to 90%
Mhm,
of the economy is run by small and mid-sized businesses.
mhm.
And when we look about, okay, where is the gap? What are the differences? And there are quite few. You start with the language. You and me been in logistics for many years, more
Mhm.
than maybe we would like to count, but um,
We're not gonna say the number, although I've said it
yes,
on many shows
exactly. Let's
before.
forget about the numbers. But it's for us, it's a second language, right? When we speak and when we speak with people from the industry, we speak totally different language and we understand each other.
Mhm.
When you have small businesses, they have their own language, they have their own product. They're very, fascinated about if it's bikes or if it's pumps or whatever it is they're
Right.
doing, if it's retail or clothing or
Mhm.
whatever product they are producing. They're very, very fascinated about it. They're very knowledgeable about it, but they are not so much knowledgeable about logistics. And not always they have the right logistics person next to them. Not always they have
Right.
the ability to build logistics department that handle that part of their business, but it's a must part of their business because they are producing or they're handling products, so they must move them around, sell them, buy them, and so on and so forth.
Mhm.
So it starts with language. So when we build solution for small to mid-sized businesses, we do it with the understanding that they don't have our language.
Right.
So we need to speak a different language, and we need
Mhm.
to make the platform accessible and that everyone can go in and be able to actually book, to understand what they are searching for, to
Yeah.
understand the price they are getting, to understand how to compare it, to understand the service they should expect. So it's all start from that part. And I think second also is the service. Um, Small businesses, they run the businesses, they don't have a lot of headcount, they don't have a lot of large teams. So we know that from 9 to 5 they're focusing on their customer, their suppliers, the
Mhm.
day to day. We provide 24/7 service. So if you are working on your shipment on Saturday, there will be somebody that will be there and
Right.
support you and give you an instant message. If you are stuck and at, I don't know, 12 a.m. and need some advice, there will be somebody to provide
Wow.
that for you. So
Amazing.
we really went into the way and the day to day of small businesses and
Yeah.
what actually they need from their provider. So we don't tick the box of a logistics provider that is there from 9 to 5,
Mhm.
that is not there when they actually need them.
Right.
So this is a small example to explain why and how we do things different. And
Yeah.
then there is technology and why you are hopefully optimistic, and so do I for small businesses, is because technology has the ability to in a way leverage the field. Oh,
Mhm.
yeah, because technology has the ability to create a better field, even field. If I'm just looking at my iPhone, right, and I don't know, 15 years ago, 10 years ago, sea level would have a BlackBerry, and a school teacher would maybe have a Nokia. Today, everybody has smartphone. Everybody has the ability to do the same kind of activity or the same kind of choices they want. One could have more fancier cover than the other, but eventually everybody has the same ability and access to technology,
Mhm.
access to influence. And I think this is what technology does. It's
Yeah.
create this even field, and that's why I'm very optimistic for small businesses, because I think today they have much more access to tools that can provide them that competitive advantage
Mhm.
that larger corporation has in today's world.
Yeah, I liked what you said about access because small businesses definitely need access. And I think, a small tweak, like you said, having somebody available 24/7 to a small business to have access to ask questions on their timeline rather than
Yeah,
our timeline makes
yeah,
such a difference. I mean, it's a small change in a mindset, but makes so much difference to the small business. And a lot of small business
correct.
are owned by, underrepresented voices and things like that. And so, we're really helping also to move diversity forward in the world, not just in supply chain. And that's definitely something that I am definitely passionate about. And so I love the fact that you're really building that supportive structure around them. Now, the other thing that you mentioned was around language. And I got to thinking about this the other day because I was like, we talk about supply chain professionals all the time, and there's certain jobs, right, where you like know that you're a supply chain professional. And then there's entrepreneurs, there's small business owners, there's people who might not actually consider themselves as supply chain professionals, but are sitting in a supply chain job that
Yeah,
should have access and resources and networking like everybody else, but maybe they just don't think of themselves as a supply chain professional. And I literally was sitting down the other day, and I think we're going to do some social media posts about this because we want to encourage people to embrace that
yeah,
part of their job and to really understand and to get stuck into the language and to be part of the community of supply chain professionals so that we can all support each other, empower each other, help us move forward not only in our personal lives, professional lives, but also business as well. And so if you're a small business and you're touching any part of supply chain, you are a supply chain professional and
indeed.
definitely belong in this industry, right?
Indeed. And not many people know that the industry has such an amazing network and really amazing people that, really care about the world, really care about each other.
Yeah,
And I think it's a great industry to grow with. And, where else you call yourself, supply chain professional or not, I
right.
think when I look at our customer, the small businesses, and normally the one interacting, they do everything, right?
Yeah,
They can they can do the accounting and the logistics and
so many
the
hats.
recep- they do everything, right? So I think, and that's the beauty. Um, it's not about the title, it's really touching global trade, moving it around. And in many ways, I think logistics, we see ourselves like, the behind the screen,
Mhm.
um, kind of people that make the world go around. But I think it's a wonderful community.
So I totally agree with you. Now, you worked for nearly 15 years at Damco, which you kind of mentioned earlier. Very big, very corporate, I would imagine.
Yeah.
And now you're at this relatively small in comparison brand that focuses on small business. What made you want to transition to a totally different type of organization? And how are you finding it? Like, what are the differences? What are the similarities? What would you say?
Yeah, it's, of course, it's a very big change, and I grew up in a wonderful company, a very large one, and learned a lot.
Mhm.
I worked in and lived in six in 6 countries,
Wow.
and are able to really learn from really zero. What does it mean? Logistics. What does it mean to move cargo? Different companies and different suppliers, different culture, different customers.
Mhm,
Normally, at my previous role, I dealt with very large logistics supply chains. If it's Walmart or if it's HP or Target, and really
mhm,
the 500 Fortune ones, and they're great. I really enjoy every day of my career. At a certain point of time, when we looked also through the corporate eyes about the small to medium sized businesses, really caught my attention
mhm,
because as a person that really like to make a difference and really like to get involved, I saw that I have an opportunity there,
mhm,
and that is the reason that I actually made that shift. Not because I didn't enjoy, I really enjoy what I was doing, but I really saw that there is a gap in the market, and I saw that there is an opportunity with involving technology, with improving on the technology space that we are having in the last 5 to 10 years. I would
mm,
say that's a really good opportunity to actually make a really huge difference in a global scale, and that is the reason I actually made that change, and I'm super happy about it because I have the opportunity to create a team of excellent technology people with excellent logistics people, and that combination together is amazing.
it just gave me
And
goosebumps. I'm so excited for you.
yeah, because I mean, if you bring people and our R&D team and technology, they have no idea what is logistics. Okay,
Right.
they are not coming from
Yeah.
the industry, right?
Mhm,
If I my marketing team, because we reach out by digital marketing to customers all around the world, so they also are not coming from logistics, right? So it's my opportunity actually to kind of um, they can get the bug and
mhm.
the understanding of
You're
of
reeling
what
them
is
in.
yeah, yeah, to bring talent in from
Nice.
various interests and location. And I think that diversity, first of
Mhm,
all, the diversity of thoughts, of bringing together people from the industry and from outside of the industry,
mhm,
it's amazing, because what's happening there, it's different, and that's what will make the difference, that's what will make the change. Because if we will, for example, all be from the industry, they probably will do the same. But creating a diversity of thoughts for me, as a CEO, as a manager, is crucial,
really
definitely
important.
in the area of innovation. We
Mhm,
must think different. We must talk different. We must do different things. So it's kind of lab every day. You open a lab and you work together and create. So I'm very excited about it, and
yeah.
I love that part of my role.
Well, and you talked about how your career took you to a variety of different places. I think Italy, Denmark, Hong Kong, I think just to name a few. Why did you choose to embrace that? And what did you learn? Like, what did you take from that experience and put into what you're doing right now? Because I'm sure it's had all sorts of, you know, I can't think of the word. What is the word? Like it's given you so much to
Yeah,
learn from other cultures that you can bring and reference when you're talking to your team now, or maybe when you're talking to a remote team, right? And you're bringing people together from all around the world. How has that helped you with your leadership style?
significantly. I would not be the same
Mm,
if I would have a career in one location, no matter which location would be. And I actually think that's another special thing with logistics and supply chain, because uh, when I'm speaking outside of our industry, it's really, people look at me and it's strange that I've worked in so many places, but in
right.
logistics, it's not so strange.
No, it's not.
Be- because we tend to go around.
Mhm,
But I mean, I didn't plan it, to be honest. It started as I was a trainee in the Immerse group. And my first experience was indeed in Hong Kong and in Asia, and it was mind blowing.
Right.
At the age of 25, you come from a small destination port, let's say, a small country, to the gate of China. And we're looking at 17 years. I gave the I gave the number. We're looking at 17 years back, right?
Oh, goodness.
Um, so that was amazing growth. China has been through a tremendous change at that period of time. We're talking about year-on-year growth of about 20%,
Hmm.
and you are in the midst of that. So that was exceptional from my point of view, and I truly love the ability that I have the opportunity to really be at origin, such a large origin, and to learn how supply chain starts
Yeah.
and then end somewhere else. But that was for me such a good experience that it really was for me the opening that, yeah, I want more, I want to learn more, I want to be in various location. And also the company I worked at gave me that opportunity, obviously,
Hmm.
to be able to do that.
Hmm.
So after that, indeed, working in Europe, where if it's in Italy, Denmark, or the Hague and Rotterdam, was able to really touch a huge point in logistics and in supply chain, because it's huge ports, your
Hmm.
supply chains that you are handling, and you really learn it for firsthand. Um, and I love it, and I would continue doing it probably for the rest of my life, because I think it's such a privilege
Hmm.
to to be able to be in a location, to meet different people, to learn the culture, to learn
Hmm.
customers, to understand the suppliers. And no doubt it gave me so much to build Chief forward, because it is a global platform.
Yeah.
You have to understand the
What
world. You have
everybody
to
goes through.
understand how supply chain work. You have to
Yeah.
understand how things happening in China, because those are the small things that you bring into the technology, into the platform, that make it easy in the end of the day to the end
Hmm.
customer that can sit in LA, and book his shipment and
Right.
handle his supply chain. That's a huge differentiation in my view.
So I'm going to put you on the spot for a second. What was your favorite place?
Know that, probably, and sorry for all the rest, but it was Hong Kong. But I would
Really?
say
Okay.
that it, because it was the first location,
Uh-huh.
and it was so different from my culture. It's
Hmm.
so different for what I used to.
Yeah.
And I think those two elements are the one that bring
Okay.
that. I had the opportunity to travel all over Asia,
Hmm.
have the opportunity to really learn so much
Yeah.
about supply chain and the origin and how things starts. And I think that was a unique opportunity.
Awesome. I love that. Thank you for answering that. Because you were going on about different countries. I was like, wait a second, which one is your favorite? So now you and I have talked about how supply chain is such a great career choice for anybody, really. And I know you've talked about supply chain being a place where the next generation can really make a difference and change the world. Now, we started this conversation talking about impact and the impact that you've been able to make, right? And how you see yourself making an impact. And I know that that is really important for the next generation. And so I feel like this part of the conversation is really, really important because the next generation listening to this particular episode, thinking about what they want to do in their career and in their life, they can really make a lot of impact being in supply chain. So, talk to us about what's your advice for those young people looking to enter supply chain, and where should they start? Like, what would be your advice of where they should start?
Everyone has a different entry point and really depend on their preferences. If you are
Mhm.
a technology, um, if you have technology skills, you can always enter to a lot of the type of startups that
Mhm.
are happening in our domain, and there is quite a lot actually. If you are more operational minded, you can go and work in more traditional and start from ground zero, let's say, like what I did. So it's really depend on where you see yourself
Mhm.
in such environment, I think. But in general, young professional people that are interested in culture in the world, that can they can find themselves very much in love with this industry, most
Yeah.
definitely. And today, compared to where we started, today there are a variety of different ways that you can enter. You can enter from a technology point of view, from
Mhm.
startups. You can enter from a traditional. You can do various choices that you can make. So you don't have only the traditional path that
Mhm.
it used to be. Today there's so many startup in our industry, and it's actually really nice to see the innovation coming in,
Mhm.
and nice to see that so many young and innovative people are looking at logistics, looking at supply chain, looking at customers, and say, okay, this is where we can make a difference.
Yeah.
So I definitely think today there are many more opportunities to young people to go in, and
Yeah.
they need to first look inside themselves and say, okay, what interests me the
Yeah.
most, and they can find in our domain almost everything, to be honest.
Yeah. And so recently I've been thinking about my journey as a woman in supply chain in this industry. And since this is a woman in supply chain episode, I'm going to put you on the spot again. So when I think about women in supply chain specifically, the next generation of women, during your journey, what were some of the challenges that you faced as a woman in this industry? What kind of support did you wish that you had?
It is man-led industry. I think
Hmm.
we can
Yeah. Yeah.
agree. But many other industries are the same as such. I tend to really focus on doing, and really focus on making a difference, and working my way. There were challenges. I will not say there were not. There were
Right.
challenges.
Hmm.
I'm a mother of two girls. I had to move many location, and still, build my family as well. So of course that was not easy. Um, so there were various obstacles in the way as well. But basically, I think if you focus on really, on achieving, on creating value, that will shine in almost every environment. I
Hmm.
really believe in it. And it doesn't mean it's easy. It doesn't mean there is no barriers of entry. It doesn't mean it goes smooth at all time, not at all. But eventually, if you focus on what you love, and you focus on doing and executing and creating value,
Hmm.
that shows.
Yeah.
Whereas if you're a man or a woman, I really believe it. That's what I experienced in my career,
Hmm.
and I just decided to focus on it, and do my best in what I'm doing.
I love that. I think about my journey and I think about some of the support that I would have liked. I think more community, right? More
Yeah,
like-minded community where like I could get together with some girlfriends in supply chain and really just talk about the day-to-day in the language that we all sort of understand that maybe
yeah,
our family members might not and things like that. So I just think about, and I've been thinking about my journey quite a bit. And so I think for me, that kind of support would have been so integral, I think, to my personal development, my professional development, but also thinking about expanding what I was thinking around what the opportunities were in supply chain for me. I mean, listen, supply chain media wasn't even a word when I started the
yeah.
podcast. And
True.
I think there's lots of opportunities and getting different perspectives and hearing from other people as to what is possible really helps sort of expand. So you're a CEO, you're on a board, you're obviously incredibly busy and constantly making big decisions. So what does downtime look like for you? And I find this a really interesting question because I think until very recently, It was a bit of a badge of honor, right? Oh, I don't have any downtime. I'm working 24/7. And now we're getting much more real about the importance of sort of that work life balance of seeing our families, taking the time that we need to make sure that when we are working, we're bringing our best selves. What does that look like for you?
Downtime for me is mostly with the family, really, and my daughters.
Hmm.
I have to say I truly don't have hobbies. My hobbies, I really love being with my family and my daughters.
Okay,
That's the
that's a
best part
hobby.
of, yeah, that's the best part of my day. I really enjoying see them grow, participating in their life actively. So for me, that's something I really really treasure. I really like doing.
Mhm,
So that's for me is downtime, and that gives me a lot of strength, and it's fill me up
yeah.
to do my job as well.
Well, and
But
don't you find that they kind of push you? So I have stepchildren who are adults now, but I also have a lot of nieces and nephews, and so I take them individually and I take them to do activities. So just recently I took one of them to do rock climbing, which is totally not my jam. I did not make it to the top at all, not even once. And then like the time before that, I took another one to do laser tag. That's totally my jam, and I took it way too seriously. But don't you feel like it's, they also you can take them to activities and explore things that they've never done before, and maybe it's something that you haven't done for a while. I find for me, that is kind of pushing me out of my comfort zone and doing things that I wouldn't normally do.
definitely, I mean, definitely, I think that I grow, and actually, if even as a manager, I think, or as a leader, I believe I'm much better manager as a mother than before I was a mother. That
Okay.
I grow as well. Doing things that exactly is outside of your box, let's say,
Mhm.
or outside of your day to day, or what you were normally would
Yeah.
choose, that like
Yeah.
push you outside of your boundary, um in a way, and also a reminder of your childhood. So it's, I think, and that's why I really love it. I know, I mean, I know that some people, when I say so, look at me, yeah, but it's there. I said, I really love it. What can I do?
I love
I
that.
really think it's enhancing me as a person, me as a
Mhm.
leader as well. I don't think it's I don't think it's go there are some, when I'm mentoring other women also in our industry, some
Mhm.
are worried to become a mother because they might, um, let's say, not go hand in hand with their career aspiration.
Right.
And everybody has their choice, of course, and whatever they choose is great. For me, and what I share, it's actually enhance my
Mhm.
skills, and it made me a better manager, a better leader, and a better
Amazing.
person. That's what I feel.
Yeah.
So I can only say that I totally agree with you. I think it's a great hobby.
Yeah. Well, and Brene Brown, I was just listening to Brene Brown. She says that play is a really important part of adulthood,
Yeah.
and really helps us to do the things that we do on a day-to-day basis. So you're on the right track. And on a recent episode with Christine Barnhart, we were talking about how women often feel uncomfortable shouting about their achievements. And, if we're going to continue to move the needle for women, we need to get better at it. So, can you share with us some of your achievements, what you have accomplished, what you're really proud of? I'd love to hear that.
Yeah, I've been honored to receive few awards, really. Best Women in Supply Chain.
Mhm.
As a brand of Forward, we also receive award as, and I'm very proud of being best freight forwarder for SMBs in US and Canada from
Amazing.
Global Brand Award. So, and this is after 1 year in the market, 2 years in the market. This is really exceptional.
Mhm.
So it makes me proud, and also makes me proud that my team and me achieved
Mhm.
that place. But I think what I'm most, let's say, proud of is
Uh-huh.
actually building She Forward.
Yeah.
is doing what I'm doing every day and seeing that it replicate with customers, seeing that they are getting the value, that they are coming in, that they are seeing that they're receiving what they need to support their businesses. So
Hmm.
for me, that's the most, accomplished award I can give myself, because
Yeah.
that actually works. So that's
Hmm.
what I'm coming every day to the office. That's what we are doing day in and night, and the the satisfaction of actually understanding from our customer and the growth that we are experiencing, that's equal with them, that they are getting the value, that they are
Hmm.
coming again and again. We have 90% of returning customers. For me, that's something I'm extremely proud of. That's the best award I can get. So
Now we just need to get you to talk about it publicly. Because we've done that on this episode. So when this episode comes out, and you post about it, you post about the episode, put that little clip in it and be like, you're going to hear that I'm proud about, our 90%. I'm proud about winning the Woman in Supply Chain Award. I would love to see it, because the more that we do this, the more that we encourage others to do this. And I think we all need to get better at not only posting about it, but then also supporting and cheering each other on through reactions and comments and different things like that. So I would
totally, I
love to
hear
see
you.
that. I would
I,
love
I I will do that because you're on the point. I normally don't.
I've called you out.
Indeed, yeah, you
All
definitely
right.
did.
Well, I think you and I could talk for a very, very, very long time, but we've kind of come to the end. I want to ask you, last question. What does the future hold for you, Carmit?
Well, I hope it will continuous learning and innovating and making a difference. I really, really hope that that's what the future holds. I really want to make sure that we are, as professional, also as a mother, are making the world a better place. And I totally believe in what we are doing. I believe that if we empower small businesses, we are making the economy stronger. We are
Yes.
making the world a better place. So this is what I hope my future will hold, the ability, the skill, the opportunities to continue doing so.
What a journey. You're a real citizen of the world. And I have loved hearing about your experiences and the incredible things you've achieved. There's so much that our audience can really just take away from this conversation in this episode. And I really hope that all of the younger generation that are listening feel inspired, right? Supply chain might not seem sexy, but it is dynamic. And it can offer travel, transformation, innovation, and a chance to change the world. So get involved. And did you have a guess at today's big question? Well, at the top of the show, I asked you, according to data from Statista, what was the top priority when it comes to sustainability goals for small and medium sized logistics businesses in the US as of April 2023? Well, for 46% of professionals from SMEs, it was reducing waste, followed by sustainable sourcing at 23%, eco friendly packaging at 19%, and carbon emission reduction at only 13%. Much smaller than I would have guessed. Carmit, thank you so much for joining me on the show today, being authentic, being vulnerable, sharing all your insights and perspectives so that we can change the hearts and minds of one person at a time.
Thank you, Sarah. It was a pleasure.